All right, guys, this is, in my opinion, the worst update that has come out since Global. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But first, I have the Arc Mage unlocked, and I'm going to show a little bit of PvP with it. I'm going in solo, which could definitely be a bad idea. But my hope is that this character is so OP that I'll be okay. So I'm gonna do this. I'm a little nervous about it. Oh, I'm not fast enough on this phone. This could go really poorly, but we're gonna see if anyone's here. No one's here. Okay, I probably logged in too late to the event. Some people like to go to fire event. I might not make it in time, actually. Ah, dang it. I just missed it. Okay, well, we'll go back in here, and then I'll show you why it is such an OP class. Okay, so let me show you a little bit. Maybe I can go into a zone and find someone, but, you know, this is the beta. But this is a huge area. Everyone in this area gets turned into a chicken. And it's pretty quick. Watch this. Like that. They're all turned into chickens. And then I get 40% extra damage. And plus 50 points of health. And okay. They fixed this. They just updated the beta. And they made this more clear. They had it as a passive and it looked really OP, but now I understand. It's still super OP, but basically, when you receive fatal damage, instead you gain a shield which instantly heals you 40 hit points and absorbs 95% of incoming damage for 4 seconds. Which means that shield for 4 seconds, they would have to do 800 more damage to you to be able to kill you. And your health is going to be low, so people are going to want to kill you, and they're going to be wasting their efforts because 95% of damage is absorbed. So it's absolutely insane. You become, as long as that 300-second cooldown is available. Here we go, 300-second cooldown. So as long as you've only done it, like you've only done this once every 5 minutes, which is every initial PvP fight, you are pretty much, this becomes like the most ultimate tank. But then what's even crazier is 2 things. Okay, so the chicken is pretty awesome, and then you do 40 extra damage, so you're doing pretty good damage. So you're a damage dealer, but you're also a crazy tank. But then, to kick it all off, because as if doing damage and being a tank wasn't enough, and polymorphing people so that they can't do anything, so you got the stun of, you know, the crowd control of being able to turn everyone into chickens. You got the, you know, 50% extra hit points. You got all this stuff, and top of all that, they have this skill, which for you might be like, oh, it's just a cloud. It's when you look at this from the perspective of someone else, it is absolutely invisible. There is no sign of me anywhere. No one would be able to see me until they got close to me. And so I can sneak right up to someone and then turn them into a chicken, and they wouldn't even know I existed. Like, there's no sign on the mini map, no sign anywhere that would imply that I exist in their game. And then they all turn into chickens. I can hide my entire team with me. My team kills them while they're all still chickens. It's the most ridiculously OP class. And so I have a few thoughts on this class. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure, you know, where the footage was, but I'm going to show you real quick what these different skills do. And that way you can at least get a picture of what it might be like in PvP. So the first skill is the chicken. I showed you that, you know, in PvP, they just, You know, it's just ridiculous. It's like 5 seconds. Everyone in that circle becomes a chicken, and they're harmless, and you just shoot them. They can't move. They can't do anything. I don't know if they can dispel or not, so I'll find that out for you guys. And then this Loki Shroud is, incredible invisibility. So this is not just like the Assassin Cloud. It's like for 1 minute you are completely invisible. They need to buff the Assassin Cloud because honestly it's ridiculous. But you can come up to a team. They have no clue you're there, and you can just go, boom, you're a chicken, and then everyone on the team rushes them, and their whole team's chicken. They had no clue that there was even a whole team right next to them. It's so powerful. But then what makes this class even more powerful and kind of ridiculous is not only does it have the element of surprise, damage, crazy crowd control with the chicken, but watch this. Come at me. Alright, fight me. Do your thing, watch this. You can't kill me, sucker! Well, he does kill you after the 4 seconds, so Hell's Envoy is not a good example because he does that long-term damage. But in PvP, for 4 seconds, so now I've got a cooldown for 5 minutes, but for 4 seconds, all damage is reduced by 95%. So to give you, and you're healed by 40. So to give you a picture, after you've gotten all 250 health down, I don't have to activate a skill or anything. There's nothing you can see. It's just my class as the Arc Mage. It automatically triggers when I'm about to die. You do that final blow. You got a giant, you get a cleaver and you do 100 damage, but I had 1 hit point left. Gives me a shield, gives me 40 hit points, and then reduces damage by 95%, which makes that 40 hit points really 800 hit points. So for 4 seconds, you have to do 800 damage. Now, obviously, if you hit them with a fire bow or a poison bow and they don't dispel, and it lasts longer than 4 seconds, then you can kill them even if they run. But then I can also Loki Shroud and you won't even find me. So as long as you can't get me with some kind of reoccurring damage, there's nothing you can do about it. So this class is, ooh, I glow. That's kind of cool. So anyways, I just hope that they either nerf this class or buff all the other classes because it's just going to be really imbalanced. There's several things that I just don't like about this update. And so the first one is the Arc Mage. I mean, the Arc Mage requires 20,000 points to upgrade or to unlock, and you have to have invested at least, 40,000, 20,000, something like that. It's a lot of mastery points. So you have to do at least 40,000 just to, get the Arc Mage. So it's a lot of mastery points. It is focused. I do want to give the devs you don't have to learn any other class to unlock that class, which I think is really awesome. And, I want to, if the devs are testing to see how that is and how people get motivated, then I think that can be okay, which is going to get into my point later on in this episode. But what I hate about this class is we have been asking the devs to balance these 15 classes. We're over here saying, look, devs, the sharpshooter's too strong, the hunter's too weak, the bandit's too weak, the assassin's probably just right now that they nerfed it. But the Thrasher is a joke. The illusionist is good, the fire mage is good. But we gotta nerf the sharpshooter, which, by the way, devs, I was looking at this the other day. I've been looking at a lot of footage, and I noticed that sharpshooters often critical more than 20% of the time. In fact, I looked at a lot of footage, and it was more like 50% of the time. It was like at least 40%. It was very high. And I got in a fight the other day, and a guy did 3 out of the 4 shots with his sharpshooter were critical damage. And so I'm over here like, how am I gonna, like, the sharpshooter's already OP because of all the stuns. The first way that you can nerf the sharpshooter is by making making sure that the statistics of how often it criticals in PvP fights is actually fair. But beyond that, I think you should also lower the hit points of the sharpshooter to the same as the Pathfinder. At least lower the hit points by 20 hit points. It's not much. Just get a feel to see if that little tweak, that little nerf, makes the sharpshooter not quite as, OP as it is. I realize that a really good fire mage who, or someone who's really good with the dispel can neutralize any of the archer classes, but that doesn't really change the fact that the sharpshooter is so much more powerful than the Pathfinder. And, well, the Pathfinder's good, but that doesn't really change the fact that the sharpshooter, generically, at least for most people in most situations, is just way more powerful than any of the other classes. Because the Dispel Potion is a rare potion, and you have to get good at using it. So, nerf the sharpshooter. We've been asking for it, and we've been asking you to nerf the sharpshooter. And that's why I just don't like this update, is because that was one of the biggest things that Frostborn needs to be able to advance into becoming like a timeless game, something that, that we all love, and that we're all, enjoying the intricacies of, oh, well, I'm a Thrasher, and oh, I'm a Berserk, and they're like, oh man, that's a good class, and oh, I'd love to have a Thrasher on my team. I haven't seen someone who specialized in the Thrasher. And instead of doing that, they decided, well, we're just going to make a class that's even more OP than the sharpshooter. And I just think, no, that is the opposite of what we were wanting. We were wanting balance. We were wanting multiple classes that are good. We want more classes. The Arc Mage is great. Make an Arc Mage that is balanced with the other classes. Make the level 3 classes balanced. And I love that you split it up from the other classes, but I think your understanding of what a grind is, people are going to grind in this game. They're going to unlock, if you separated all of these classes, they would unlock the Protector faster, if that's what they wanted. But then after they finish, they wouldn't want to stop. They'd be like, oh, that was easy. That would inspire them to keep going. And then maybe they wanted to be an Arc Mage, or maybe they wanted to be a Protector Sharpshooter. They wanted to have those different options. Let them do those options. Stop locking them in to the line that you've decided, because a lot of people that want to be a Protector don't care for either of these other 2 classes. It's just so dumb that we have to grind for things we don't want to get things that we do want. It's just so dumb that we have to grind for things that we don't want to then grind for things that we do want. And then we don't want, and maybe you're just hoping that, we'll add the Arc Mage right now and it'll be OP for a while and then you'll nerf it later. I would love to believe that, but you haven't nerfed any of the other classes except maybe the Assassin. But you didn't say you were nerfing the Assassin. You just kind of did it. We don't know what you're thinking, but we want a balanced game. That's the great games are balanced. The games that are pay to win, the games that are just trying to stick it to someone and get them to pay more money, are the games that have a super class that is just more expensive, and so just get people some more money. And so don't make a super class. Don't, like, the skills are cool, just make sure it is a balanced class. So that's my first rant. I hate the Arc Mage. I was already a little disappointed. I set myself up for failure because I thought they were going to add 3 new classes, like a whole nother line. and so I was disappointed with just one class. That was my fault. They didn't ever say that there was going to be 3 classes. I just assumed that that's how they were going to expand the game. It seemed logical to me. And I don't really necessarily mind a super class as long as it's more balanced. Creating a super class that is more than 20% more powerful than all of the other classes is a joke. That's not gonna. Creating a super class that's 5% more powerful than all the other classes is, that's fine. Maybe nerf it later. But creating a class like this that's like 10, 20% more powerful than all the other classes, that is not creating a balanced game. That's not what we're wanting. That's not the Frostborn that has the dynamics of these different things. We're already frustrated about the sharpshooter, and that's only like a 5% difference from some of the other classes. Why? Don't do this. Balance the classes, please. This is what Frostborn needs to be a timeless game. Okay, so now that I've gone on my rant about the Arc Mage and how much I do not like it, let's go into the next change that I think is also kind of dumb. So it's the Conqueror's Pack. Honestly, it's probably not that big of a deal, but it is one of the biggest changes in this thing. You can basically just buy all the fire weapons. You don't have to do the forge. You just, for 270 gold, which is worth, $10, you can get all of the fire weapons in the game. It used to be that people would go and mark all the way through the forge, which cost them like, $40, just to get a chance to get either a fire dagger and a fire bow. You'd also get the fire axe, and now, $10 gets you all of them. And I don't really like them on the marks either, but the reason why I like them more on marks than I do here is because these are the most powerful weapons in the game. They should be precious. They should be special. And if you're just handing them out for $5, then, and some random person who's level 10 has a fire bow because they just bought the pack, I just think that devalues the worth of the fire dagger and the fire bow. It's going to make them feel less special. And when someone kills the Iron Golem, and does that amazing challenge to just feel like, yes, I did this amazing challenge in the game, it's going to be kind of not as satisfying, because the reward is going to be something that's like, oh yeah, I saw that in a little pack, I bought it for $5. Oh, that's what this guy drops? Cool. It's going to be a little bit more than that because it is the best weapon in the game, but it just devalues your product. If you're a business, and if you're selling your most valuable product for cheap, then it devalues your product. And so I hate the Conqueror's Pack. I really don't like the Conqueror's Pack. I think it's a really bad mistake by Kafir. I think it's going to devalue those items. It is a temporary thing. You can buy it and then it's done. So the game can go back to normal if they don't do it again for a while, but maybe, I don't know. I think it's a really bad move by Kafir to do that. Then they added the Royal Chest, which is, I think, just a massive chest that you can just buy for $3. I know some people are concerned about this, that you could just buy a massive chest. In my opinion, the devs have already set up the game to where raiding is pay to win. And if you want to play free to play, you got to survive from the bad pay to win raiders, and you got to hide your stuff, and then you got to get powerful enough to kill them and then take their pay to win stuff, and then you got to keep all their pay to win stuff. And I love that about the game. I love the idea of rising to that challenge, and how people are paying to be kind of the bad guys in the game, and I'm over here like trying to learn how to survive until I get powerful enough to kill them. I love it. I love that aspect of the game. And so the fact that they already have metal walls that you can buy, and so honestly, buying a massive chest doesn't bother me at all. if you want to spend money to not get raided. That's kind of how they've already set up the game. Raiding is the pay to win aspect of Frostborn. You can raid, you can pay money to have crazy strong walls and stuff so that no one will raid you, or you can pay money to break, you know, stuff that would take so long to farm to break other people's walls, and that's kind of how it works. But it doesn't affect PvP, well, until they added the firebow that you can just buy and go, you know, massacre someone now. So honestly, yeah, I really hate the Conqueror Pack. But the massive chest, that's not a big deal. So while we're on the topic of raiding, there is a lot of rumors going on about raiding. You say, okay, I'm gonna hit start raid, and it's searching, you know, for a raid. And this is just like normal. You start a raid, you search for 10 minutes, you either get matched with a person who's raiding, or you get matched with a bot, and then you raid them for 20 minutes, and then it's done. Now, the thing that's different about this new update is that the Truce, it says Truce is going on, and it says temporarily, if you're not in a raid, your camp cannot be, you know, attacked. So basically, unless you are actively searching and they are actively searching, which is probably why we will not actually get caught, catch anyone in this raid unless I, you know, message someone. But here's what I've learned. This world event, this truce is a world event. It says temporarily. And so I don't think they actually changed the rating system. I think that this is just a temporary thing where sometimes there will be, you know, a world event truce. They may be doing this in the beta. It kind of makes sense in the beta. You're often flipping back and forth between, you know, the normal game and then the beta. So you're not always on. And so it kind of makes sense to have the truce event. I just don't know, until the devs come out with their patch notes, we just don't know how often they're going to have these truce events. But basically it gives everyone a break. People that want to raid can still match each other with other people that want to raid. But if you want to not raid, then you can take those, you know, as long as this truce symbol is going, you can, you know, kind of ride that wave, and hopefully they'll tell us when it's going to be over so that we can make sure to get our shields back. But basically, from my understanding, you can't get raided as long as that truce is. So I don't know if the devs plan to do this like over a weekday, you know, or like maybe a week. I don't know, something about the week they say, oh, there's a holiday, like we're going to put truce up so that no one has to worry about their shields. Go hang out with your family. And so, you know, you're like, okay, great, I got 5 days. You take a break from the game, or you just play the game and you don't worry about your shield, and then you look and say, okay, the truce is over, I need to go back to playing the game the way we used to play it, where you make sure you have a shield every 48 hours. Okay, so this next one, and I'm gonna switch over to hammers. So this next one, if I can find it, there's these new chests added to the game that are real, like, fancy looking. Let me see if this is one of them. There's one. Okay, so I'm just gonna kill all these guys. Well, I'm gonna try to kill all these guys. All right, so you can see here that when I try to open this, it says use the spell in this chest area. So I need a dagger. Okay, so you can see here that to open this chest, oh my gosh, okay, just take all. So to open this chest, I need to use the spell in this chest area, Shadow Step by Assassin. So I'm gonna go over here, in here, and I'm gonna switch over to Assassin. And we'll just wait for a second. And the Shadow Step is the one where you stab him in the back. So I'm gonna lead this bear over to come fight me, and I'm gonna Shadow Step in the chest area. So this chest then opens up, which is awesome, right? You have to have the skill, so you might have to tell your friend, like, hey, come over, you know, bring over this weapon. Okay, so this chest in the last version of the beta was absolutely horrible loot, embarrassingly horrible loot, and I'm hoping that the devs fixed it. I'm sure that they will fix it before the, the next, before it becomes global, because it just doesn't make any sense to have a chest that you have to do all this work. So we'll see if they fixed it. I would argue that they have not fixed it. This is maybe better than a normal red zone chest, but I think that there should be a guaranteed weapon or something. I mean, they're making us do all this rigmarole just to get there, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. Okay, I'm gonna look around and see if there's any players, but the fact that there's been so many bots makes me think that I'm probably not gonna run into any real players, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll get there. Now, one of the things that's amazing about this class is I'm pretty much invincible. And as long as I have my shield up, there is no way someone is not going to be able to, they're not going to be able to kill me. I either win or I lose and get my shield and then run away and then go invisible and they'll literally never find me. There's no trace of a person. I can just sideswipe them as they go, and they will have no even hint of where I went. And so it's really OP, but it doesn't look like anyone's here. Okay, so another change that they made that I think is a great change is they made the dirty copper look a little bit different, but mainly on the map. You can see here on my map up here that they look a lot different. You can definitely see it's dirty copper instead of normal copper, which is good, because in the last time it looked kind of it just didn't look nearly as good. Because the last time it just looked too similar to normal copper that it was kind of hard to tell whether or not it was dirty copper or copper, which wasn't that big of a deal, but it's a nice touch to make that change. So this is a cool touch. I actually didn't notice this, but they actually added the passive skill here. I'm gonna switch over to one of these other classes and see if they add the passive skill. No, they don't. Okay. I think the devs should do that. They should just add the little passive skill, like what they did for the Arc Mage, on this spot right here, because that would just look cool. It would just be cool to see it there, see the extra stuff that you get, but maybe that's not that big of a deal. But the big change that they made is that bot bases now have maple and acid barrels. According to some pretty credible players that are very good at observing changes like this, they told me that the bot bases before this update were not able to have acid barrels and maple. They weren't in the bot pool of bases, and now they are. That's kind of a cool couple of hidden changes there. For those of you who are curious, here's a screenshot of when I was working on my Arc Mage, completing it. I was just emptying my base out, putting tons of stuff in here. And so it's 20,000 points. I don't know where it is. It wasn't ever listed on here, but I hear from credible people that it also requires another 20 or 40,000 master points on other classes to even be able to start on this. And then you got to be level 99 and you got to kill 2 bosses in Sigma. This is obviously a really easy one. This is really difficult. Oh, look at this. I did have one of my French friends send me an image of their Arc Mage, and it says you need to get 40,000 points into any class. Then it unlocks these 3 requirements that I was showing you earlier. Okay, so one other thing that I just want to mention, as I'm doing these update videos for you guys from the open beta that all of you have access to by joining the beta. If you do not know how to join the open beta, I have put a link to where to join the open beta in the pinned comment of this video. And so click on that, join the open beta. You guys, you can join me here. You can test out updates earlier. You do get different progress. But one thing that I just want to make sure everyone knows is that, this is the testing process. So a lot of things can change from when I'm showing it to you and when they see it. And now some of you, that might get your hopes up. You're like, oh yeah, well JCF is saying, he hates the Arc Mage, or he hates, the pay-to-win Challenger Pack, the Conqueror's Pack, or whatever the things that I say, I hate. And they're like, oh, maybe the devs will change it. And I just want to let you guys know that, they may change, the loot in those chests that you have to unlock using a class. That's the type of change that, we give suggestions and they might change. And every once in a while they change a bigger change, but they're not going to add more classes. They're not going to get rid of the Arc Mage. I would be blown away if they got rid of the Conqueror's Pack. That's not the type of change that they make. They hear our feedback and they may change a future update. But this update is probably going to be a crappy update. In my opinion, the main things that this game needs is balanced classes, and they need just a few more options for free-to-play players to be able to compete with the pay-to-win players. Honestly, I think the rating system's pretty good because of the defender's advantage that it gives, and a good free-to-play player that knows what they're doing can easily not only defend their base, but actually take from the pay-to-win players all their stuff using that defender's advantage. And the fact that the game encourages pay-to-win players to spend money on Raiders packs is actually almost setting them up for a epic and fun battle at someone else's base, but one that they'll probably lose. And then you get all their stuff, and then they paid, then they can go buy more stuff and give it to more free-to-play players. So I love the way it's set up in rating, but the repair table is awful. It requires so much silver to be able to keep the repair table going. They could lower the repair table use to like 10 silver, that might help, and add it into the game at a really high district level so that it encourages a free-to-play player to grind and get that, like maybe like 111, 115, something like that that's attainable to a free-to-play player, but difficult, and then they get that repair table and they don't have to worry about it. And then splitting up the classes would make that grind less, but that's not the only way they could fix that problem. They can make it to where we could donate food and potions into the offering of Odin's and make it to where there's more ways of getting points, but something to make it to where the person who's grinding is able to, get more and more points at Odin's and therefore get those higher level classes. I have a team of really active and even paying customers in Frostborn, and they are just struggling with the grind to get their level 3 classes. And so the Arc Mage just feels like the devs are out of touch with what the players are feeling about these classes. I'm sure that they are looking at some analytics and they're seeing, some characters, some players that are like, they're going to just eat this up. They're going to spend money. They're going to do whatever it takes to just get to that Arc Mage really quickly. But ultimately, that's a short-term game. And I think Frostborn has what it takes to become, an ultimate game, a timeless game, actually. But they're not going to get there if they do this super class crap. I mean, people are not going to view Frostborn as this dynamic, like a League of Legends, if the classes aren't balanced. If it's just a game where it's like, oh yeah, buy this and then that's how you win, then that's not a dynamic game. That is not the type of game that we want to see in Frostborn. And so I hate the Conqueror's Pack because it devalues the most valuable items in the game. I hate the Arc Mage because instead of balancing the classes, they made a super class that's even worse. But one thing that I've used in life that kind of helps me in situations like this, when someone does something I don't want, I think to myself, what is the most positive way that I can look at this? And what I've noticed is that when I do that, I actually get more close to the truth than what seems to me as the most natural explanation. Like in this case, the most natural explanation is they created, the Arc Mage just to, get people to do a bunch of money and and it's just a short-term gain just to get a bunch of money. That's what it kind of looks like. Same thing with the Conqueror Pack. It looks like a money grab. They're just trying to, just make some money off the game real quick. But in reality, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Possibly it's some business person that, is just trying to, think about the strategic ways of making money, and he's totally oblivious to what the gamers want and the detrimental effects that changes like this can do to the long-term momentum of a game. But even that is probably not true. Just generally in life, if I assume the best, I am more likely to hit. Just generally, I have noticed in life that if I assume the best of others, I'm more likely to hit closer to the truth. And if I assume the best of the devs in this situation, the devs have just gone back to a testing mentality. We're guinea pigs, and they are testing us. How do people react to this? How do people, how are they going to interact with the super class? How are they going to interact with a class that's disconnected from the other ones? And they're back into testing phase, which honestly is extremely disappointing to me personally, because I was thinking that Frostborn with global release was kind of ready to, to take off, and that they were going to start making these amazing updates like the last 2 updates that they have made that have just been awesome updates. I thought they were going to just keep doing that and keep building the momentum until Frostborn just took over. And it looks like they're thinking, man, and in my opinion, it looks like they're just like, no, we want to do some more testing. We want to see what people are at. We're going to experiment on people. And this was really disappointing to me personally, because obviously the YouTube channel does better the more Frostborn grows. But at the same time, even in Frostborn's testing phase, the devs still made really good updates. In fact, there was only one time that I can ever remember that they did 2 bad updates back to back. And when they did that, almost a third of my research team left the game, and it was very hard to get them to come back. But in fact, I took a break from the game for a little bit. But the devs have always come back and come out with much better updates. I think it makes the game worse in classes, which is one of the main areas that it needed to be better. And then flooding the market with firebows just devalues the game, which is just generally bad, but it's not something the game was particularly bad about. Other than that, all of the little small changes, the little, cool chests that you have to use a skill to unlock, or you gotta, the dirty copper, the world event, all of these changes are kind of cool. I don't know if they're gonna add more world events. Like right now it's, a truce, but maybe they'll add something else like, I don't know, double experience at Odin's, or who knows what, or who cares about experience, double loot at Odin's, or district levels are half price. I don't know what they could add as these little events, but I think it's cool. I think it'll add diversity to the game. So those are all of the small changes that they made, or that's not a small change, but all of those kind of nuanced changes are great. Really, it's just the Arc Mage that I hate. I think it's a really bad change, and it's the exact opposite of where the game needs to be going. And then the Conqueror's Pack is in my opinion stupid. But other than that, I mean, they've made some good changes, and in my experience, guys, the next update will be a good update. And even with this bad update, I think Frostborn is easily one of the top 5 mobile games in the world right now. And so I hope the devs listen to our feedback and don't do stuff like this, because this is a short-term game, long-term loss, and I hope they make a timeless game, because that's what we want. We want Frostborn, one of those games that you're just always happy that you have an account, and you're talking to someone else and you're like, you played Frostborn too? What's your account at? What level did you get to? Like, it's just kind of one of those games like in League of Legends where you hear someone else played it. You may not be playing it super actively, but it's just such good memories, and you could go back to it any day. That's the type of game I'm hoping that they'll make out of Frostborn, and this update was a step back. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.